Well, the great thing is that I didn't even know I could sing until high school, so I joined choir as soon as I could, and I discovered a passion for singing when I was in there, and I absolutely, I was inspired by my choir teacher and followed in her footsteps and went off to college to pursue opera, just like she did. And after that, I moved out to California with the dream of becoming a professional singer, and I joined choirs, I joined other a cappella groups, and I eventually found my way to Di Cappella, and I'm so happy that I'm here.
So I started out with music at a really young age. I started out just singing around my room, singing in choirs, writing my own music. I had a teacher actually give me a notebook because I was really quiet in class, and she said I should write down my thoughts, and I started writing songs. So I started out doing that, taking private vocal lessons. I did a cappella in high school and in college, and I studied musical theater. So that's kind of how I found my way through the music world. And then when I got my agents back in January of last year, I saw that they were having auditions for Di Cappella, and they sent me the self-tape, and the rest is history. So yeah, I'm so excited that I got to be a part of this project.
So I've sang for as long as I can remember. Like right when I came out of my mother's womb, I was singing. And after that, I kind of got into doing choral activities at school, and then I found out what theater was, and then I got into musical theater. One of the first shows that I ever did was The Wizard of Oz and Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. And so musical theater has kind of been the main path for me in my career. And then, I've done a few different regional theater shows in New York, different workshops for Broadway shows, and then I got an audition for Di Cappella, and I kind of have now gotten into the a cappella world.
My mom put me in dance class when I was about 3 or 4 years old, so as long as I can remember, I've been performing on stage. And I actually used to be quite a shy child, so it was sort of overcoming for me to get over a little fear of the stage and audiences. But once I did at an early age, I just always loved it. I grew up in, middle school and high school choirs. I did all the school plays and musicals, and that led me into college, and I got a Bachelor of the Arts in Theater Performance, which I graduated in 2011. And from there, I unexpectedly got my first professional job in the movie Pitch Perfect, which is how I got involved in the a cappella world, which went on surprisingly to have 2 more sequels. So that's kind of been the tumultuous, avalanche of my a cappella career, which then obviously I met Deke Sharon, who is our co-creator of Di Cappella and our music arranger, and that's how I found out about the Di Cappella auditions. And I auditioned like everybody else, and never knowing if I'm going to make it or not. And here we are with 6 other incredible members and vocalists, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Okay, so mini history about my career is music is pretty much the air I breathe. So it's been a part of me for as long as I can remember, but my ears have kind of guided me along my journey, and it guided me to play trumpet and to play the baritone, which is like a tuba type of instrument, and then start to sing and beatbox as well. And so with that kind of combined, I just did a bunch of different musical experiences throughout middle school and high school. And then in college, I was in vocal jazz groups, which then led me to my friends that we all started a cappella group called Boots and Cats. And with that group, we competed in the ICCAs, which is the competition for a cappella singers. And that's where I met the guy who started my career, Tim Davis, which then led me to Disney to perform at Disney World, which then now led me to Di Cappella. So it's been a whirlwind, but it's been amazing, and I'm so glad I can say I'm truly doing what I love.
I first started singing in 7th grade. I was a little late to the music party. I did show choir, plays and musicals in high school. I actually wrote an original a cappella piece in high school for a statewide Indiana arts competition, and I ended up winning the whole thing. And I got a scholarship, so I said I should go to music school with the scholarship. So I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, I sang with an a cappella group there called Pitch Slapped. We were on the Sing Off Season 2 on NBC. I later did another Deke Sharon project called Vocalocity. Throughout that whole time, I also did voiceover work. I've done television and film. I've done a lot of session singing, jingle singing, various music projects. And I just recently moved to Los Angeles shortly after joining Deca Pella.
Oh man, mini history of my career. Okay. I started singing when I was 6 years old. Started singing in church, and my mom actually, we tell this story a lot, where I was singing this old hymn, and I was singing really loudly. We had a really small church. It's maybe about 20 to 30 people, so I was singing really loudly, and I remember her looking down at me, and like, it wasn't a look of like, it was not shock, but it was more so like, she was intrigued. She heard something, heard what I was doing, and she felt like, okay, he might be on to something. He's sounding better than I expected at 6 years old. And so from there, my mom put me in an inspirational community choir, which actually performed every year at the Kennedy Center in DC. I grew up in Washington, DC, so every year there would be a concert. We would perform with a few different world-renowned composers and arrangers and artists. And so probably from about 5th grade till about high school, my first year of high school, 9th grade, it was about 4 years that I was in that, and I started reading music and developing a knack for ear training and understanding how to blend and how to hear pitch and intonation. So that was really the foundation. I started doing different talent competitions, showcases, and at about 12 I started recording. I was doing a lot of demoing, which we call demoing, for songwriters that were working with record labels. And so my voice I hadn't gone through the voice change yet, so I was referencing a lot of female records. And so that was kind of my first experience, like being in a concentrated environment where you're having to like listen to yourself, and I had to learn my voice quickly. And so I grew from that. That led to, at 15, I had a record deal, and that didn't really pan out to anything that I thought it would turn out to be. In hindsight, I realized that it was for the best, but at the time I was really devastated. And so my mom put me in a magnet program, performing arts program, probably from when I was about 13 up until really through college, because I was in a performing arts program in high school, and then I graduated. I did a year at the Hart School of Music in Connecticut. I was studying classical voice. And then I transferred to Berklee College of Music in Boston. And there was when I really started to expand my musical palette. Like, I grew up listening to a lot of Stevie Wonder and Sam Cooke and Luther Vandross and Donny Hathaway. When I got to Berklee, it was when I was exposed to like Queen and Alanis Morissette and Van Morrison and Ella Fitzgerald, Nat King Cole. So I started to kind of immerse myself in all these different styles, and that led me to songwriting. I wanted to then, I felt like I had my time, which is a crazy thing to think at 19, but I felt like I'd had my moment, and being in the front, and that wasn't the thing that was going to be what was going to take me to the next level. So I thought, well, I can, there's this whole other world of writing music behind the scenes, and so that's kind of what I studied in school. I wanted to be a music publisher, and I thought, like, armed with this knowledge of the business world and then armed with this creative skill set, I would be able to go into this other realm. And so I graduated. I started doing some songwriting for a few different artists, and then I decided I wanted to. I love to sing, so I wanted to get back into being in the forefront. And at the time that I did that, I actually had an opportunity to be a part of season 4 of NBC's The Voice. And so I auditioned. I made it through my blind audition. I made it to Usher's team at the time. Usher was on that season, and I got stolen from Usher's team to Adam's team. Made it to the knockout rounds, which is the top 32, and then after that was when I started kind of working. I was doing background work for The Tonight Show, and Jason Derulo, and Zach Brown Band, and One Republic, Regina Bell. And so it was these artists that were from all these different sectors of the entertainment industry and of the music industry, which kind of helped shape my skill set and shape how I was able to adapt in these different environments. So I appreciated that. And after I toured for about 2.5 years as a background singer on various gigs. And then I went back home. I got a 9-to-5. I saved up. I wanted to move to New York. And so in 2017, I moved there. I took this is the life of the artist. I was sleeping on my homegirl's couch. And I had 3 months to figure out what I was going to do. I was either going to get a job or I was going to get a gig. And so as soon as I got to New York, I hit the ground running, and I was going on interviews. And when I left the interviews, I was going on auditions. And when I was going on auditions, I was going on interviews. So that was my life for about the first 4 weeks that I was there. And I got a cruise contract. I worked on a cruise for about 4 months. I left that contract, and as soon as I got off, I found an apartment in the Bronx, and my friend said, "Hey, I heard about this audition. Disney's having this nationwide search for the 7-part a cappella group," which brings me here to Deacapella.